Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be talking about Virgo Relationships Part 2. Some of you may remember that in the first series I had on the zodiac signs and relationships, well, I was talking mainly about really the zodiac signs and specific relationships. That's what that one was geared to, and it was connected with probable signs on the house cusps in a solar natal chart for the zodiac signs. Now, as far as this series goes, the Part 2 series on zodiac signs and relationships, this is more general and generic in terms of how the zodiac signs may act in relationships. So anyway, now Virgo Relationships Part 2, first thing off is Virgo is known to be very fastidious and very punctilious with details. Now, that could be advantageous and sometimes even detrimental to a relationship. They may point out your vehicle alignment is off slightly, or the fuel compression ratio was slightly different than it was yesterday. And or you might have a stain on your window curtain and they may see it from like 10 feet away or something. I mean, the one thing that most people will concur and agree on with Virgo is that they could be very astute in terms of being observant. Their powers of observation may be unsurpassed in the zodiac. They could have a propensity to point out good and bad points about things and people. The thing about it is, too, though, Virgo, in a rather very negative manifestation, can be everything but a compulsive complainer. They could complain about dust being on a door hinge. They will just notice so many different things, and if they're in like a bad mood or they're feeling insecure, sometimes you better look out. I mean, don't get me wrong, Virgo, I mean, is a mutable sign. They are adaptable. They are generally pretty easygoing. But if you get them in a bad mood, or they're not really feeling right, there might be something going on in their personal life, or they're feeling emotional secure, they could be very critical and criticize incessantly. Now, they will often be the ones to point out if somebody is far from flawless in their hygiene. They can often be fanatical about cleaning and cleanliness and your hygiene. And the positive thing about this, though, especially if you're in an intimate or sexual relationship with a Virgo sun, moon, or ascendant, I want to let you know I may not have said that at the beginning of the video. Of course, this does apply and pertain to the sun, moon, and ascendant. For Virgo, though, I mean, they often will be very clean, and if you're in that intimate relationship with them, you generally don't have to worry about anything malodorous with them, because they generally are very clean. And they could, in going on a date with a Virgo, they could often be very meticulous dressers and be the ones, I mean, that will often, they'll open a door for somebody, etc. They are often very polite, have very good manners in many cases, and very scrupulous. They will often, they will be very clean. Their homes, if Virgo invites you to their homes generally, compared to the other zodiac signs on average, could be almost immaculate. They could be, they're very adept at organization and will often keep things from becoming disheveled. And the beneficial thing about having a connected to a Virgo is that if they come to your place, and if you're, you're in a home where you share the residence with them, they might even help you out with your stuff, and not to be getting to your business, but they are very good at organization and keeping things neat, and they may offer to actually help you in a polite way, of course, if you are somebody that is not exactly the neatest person around. So anyway, and the thing too is, especially if you're in like an intimate relationship with Virgo, or you're staying with Virgo, or you have the same residence and you have a close connection with him or her, they will often, they're very good often and proficient in terms of health related matters, whether they are a doctor or not. They often carry, Virgos can be like basically walking, breathing, medicine cabinets or what have you. They're often stocked with health-related items, whether it's cough, flu medicine, Band-Aids, first aid kits, calamine lotion, you get poisoned. They often have a lot of things, accessories connected with medical needs. I had a friend one time, many years ago, had a Virgo Ascendant, and I said to him, you know, maybe you're a walking medicine cabinet or whatever, and then he opened his he opened some compartment in his vehicle right after I said it, and all these medical accessories came out right when I said it. I thought it was too hilarious. And the thing about it too is, Virgo, you don't have to worry about them. I mean, they may worry incessantly, but you don't have to worry about them being timely and punctual, because Virgo really can epitomize punctuality. They're usually very timely with things. If you go on a date with a Virgo, they often will be there precisely the time they stated he or she would be there. Now, the thing about Virgo too is, if you want to retain a connection with a Virgo, Virgo can often disdain arrogance and bombastic behavior. They are ones, keep in mind that Leo often falls on the 12th house cusp in a solar natal chart for Virgo. They are ones that admire generally modesty, reticence, humble behavior. And if you're somebody that's incessantly boasting about your own achievements, this could be a turnoff. So, to them. Now, a thing about Virgo too is, now Virgo, they are ones that really they can really love analysis. I mean, games connect with analysis such as chess or Risk, or even fantasy football. If your Virgo is a sports fan, or if I should say football fan or what have you, because they may like fantasy football because of the extrapolation of data. Virgos can often really love data, statistics, and if you're watching like a sports related show with them, and you're watching some basketball game or football game or whatever, they may often be talking about the different stats of the different players and analyzing the positives and the negatives in the teams that are playing. So because that is what Virgo just likes to do. And the thing too is, keep in mind that if you're in a relationship with Virgo, whether it's an important friendship or it's a significant relationship, significant other situation, romantic relationship, or what have you, Virgo can often be very work-oriented and often dominated by work. Work may simply dominate their existence. Virgos can be workaholics. And the thing about it is, if it's something where you're not really getting an overabundance of time with Virgo, it's often not a personal thing. It's just the fact that their work ethic is often very strong, and I think arguably the strongest of the zodiac signs, because remember that the zodiac sign Virgo corresponds with the 6th house in astrology, which of course governs work and employment. Now, the thing about Virgo too is that Virgo can be very shy, and going back to Leo often being on the 12th house cusp in a solar natal chart for Virgo, Virgo is not exactly, I mean, the most extroverted or gregarious person. That is a limitation or restriction for them. They are very often, I mean, if you're trying to strike up a connection with a Virgo, often you may be the one that has to initiate the course of action, so to speak, and you may have to be the one that starts talking to him or her and show that interest. Now, the thing too, though, what can annoy people about Virgo, if you're really connected with a Virgo, Virgos of all the zodiac signs, I mean, can be close to being germophobic, if that does exist anymore. I don't know if that's actually the term for people that have really almost a compulsive need, or I should say people that are in such a strong trepidation of germs that they're constantly taking one precaution after another to avoid them, like the person that takes paper towels, you know, when they go to public restroom and uses that to turn the faucet on and off, and things of that nature. I had a woman prominent in my life many years ago. I mean, she didn't have a sun, moon, or ascendant in Virgo, but her progressed ascendant was in Virgo at the time, and she wanted her parents, when they be coming in the house, she wanted them to spray their feet with bug spray, and they thought that because she was afraid they'd be attracting bugs in the home when they'd be coming in from outdoors. And the thing about it is that she would say, well, they're not taking the precautions. And I mean, that's kind of like a Virgo energy in a very negative manifestation, because you obviously can't expect somebody to be spraying their feet with bug spray when they're coming into a home constantly. That's just very excessive, and that is really asking, I'd say, a little bit too much. But anyway, well, going back to Virgo in relationships, the thing about Virgo too that you generally don't have to worry about with them, even though they might worry incessantly. They generally, Virgos, very scrupulous and upright in their behavior. They will often abstain from using profane, vulgar, rude, or opprobrious language or behavior. They generally are ones that don't like to make a scene. They're generally not about physical confrontation, but they can use really, sometimes they could have some kind of caustic wit or be sarcastic or caustic as a means to defend themselves. And they also, because of their astute powers of observation, they can maybe point out something in you, you're really something very negative about you, and criticize you about it, and make you, feel about 2 inches high, figuratively speaking. So they can be very good and adept at that. But anyway, and going and talking and continuing to talk about Virgo relationships part 2. The thing about it is, though, sometimes Virgo will be, rude. No one is perfect or infallible in terms of the rude department, and Virgo certainly isn't. And they can be, they could still exhibit rudeness at times, but it could be in their own, like, quiet, subtle way. I had a Virgo son. He had a Virgo sun and ascendant that was over at my home one day, and he was eating, I don't know if it was lunch or dinner, but what he did was he ate all the carrots on the plate first, and then he proceeded to eat, I guess it was like the meat or the main course of the meal or what have you. And I asked him later on, well, I inquired with him, why did you do that? And he said, well, maybe I like the vegetables better than the rest of the meal. Oh well. But the thing about this is, Virgos can be very intellectual and analytical and may enjoy good conversation. People that are well informed, they will be impressed with. People that are very, and when they speak, are able to talk about subjects with a lot of detail. They also, Virgos too are people that are just, when you talk about them in a relationship when it comes to money, keep in mind, of course, Virgo, I think, can arguably be the most frugal of the zodiac signs. I think Taurus and Capricorn are right up there, but Virgo seems to be very tight with their money. And the thing about it is, Virgo, if you're in a significant other situation with Virgo, and if you're short on funds, they may help you with certain necessities, and especially like medical supplies and food, to make sure you're healthy, because Virgo is often very connected with health. But the thing about it is, like, if you're going out with Virgo and you're going on a date with him or her, and Virgo is going to be paying the bill, you generally will not anticipate Virgo to take you to an extravagant place or any really upscale place, generally speaking, because they are more inclined to hold on to their money. You might be looking more fast food on average, or maybe somewhere between a fast food and an upscale, more elegant place. But generally, they're not going to be spending an overabundance of funds on dates, generally speaking. The thing about, and Virgos, as far as food goes with you, they may actually recommend very healthy foods for you. Virgo is often very health conscious, and they may suggest a regimented diet and even a workout routine, working out vigorously. If I'm not mistaken, I don't know if I believe I'm sure he still works out, but many of you may remember the actor that was in that Incredible Hulk series, like in the late 70s. I believe it may have gone to early 80s as well. Lou Ferrigno, he was at least an ex-bodybuilder, and he probably still works out, probably fairly vigorously. And if I'm not mistaken, he has a Virgo Ascendant. And I mean, someone like that, obviously, it really epitomizes that Virgo energy and that need to stay healthy. And also, too, that if you're in a situation like, say, you're in a shared resources situation, you have a joint checking account, well, given that Virgo is very scrupulous and they're also very good at really maximizing the dollar, so to speak, and really stretching the money, you generally don't have to worry about them taking funds out and spending money on frivolous items. They will often, I mean, be very careful and assiduous in terms of what they are spending money on. And if you're like in a work-related scenario with Virgo, and say you're a supervisor and Virgo is a subordinate worker, well, Virgo can often be counted on to do the job correctly. Virgos can often be very systematic and methodical, very detail-oriented, and they're often very industrious and hardworking. And they will often work on the task very diligently until it is actually complete. And because they're very often very ethical people, they will get the job done the best of their ability in most instances, and do it in the way that you wanted him or her to do it in. And Virgos too often have a very good memory, I believe. I mean, remember that it's the opposite sign of Pisces. Pisces is not exactly known to have impeccable or really phenomenal memories. But Virgo is one where their memories can be very good, and they may not only remember your birthday, they may remember the time you were born as well, the year, and maybe even the location. I mean, Virgos probably can make good astrologers in the sense that they have in terms of the recollection and their analytical ability, and they are just ones that as far as that goes, anything detail related, they are actually, I believe, the best at on average. And also, I mean, that is pretty much it as far as Virgo Relationships Part 2 goes. Stay tuned next time where I will talk about Libra Relationships Part 2. Two things I want to get with you on before I head out. Firstly, the stars may impel but do not compel. And secondly, never isolate any single astrological element, aspect, planetary placement, position, configuration, influence, or what have you, and make an analysis of a person, astrologically speaking, based on this alone, because astrologically speaking, the person is the sum of all their components in their natal chart and not just one. Until next time, people, stay well.